What is up, y'all? We're here for our weekly manifestation oracle message. I hope y'all are doing well. I just got in from work. I have poison ivy. I'm covered in calamine lotion. I had a surge of itchiness tonight. I was like, I wanted to scratch at work. We were nice and busy at the restaurant, and this is really good. Speaking of manifestations, got a little testimonial moment. I had a table sit down. I went over to greet them, and as it turns out, it's a wedding planner that I'd met through the restaurant, and she does different kinds of events as well. But we got to talking like about a year ago, and I let her know like, oh, I'm a tarot reader if you ever need anybody for events. And so she did book me last year for a wedding. And she came in, she was like, oh my God, like I was just telling somebody about you. I'm giving them your number so they can book you for an upcoming wedding event. So I'm like, oh my God. And then she was there having dinner with another wedding planner or another, event planner or whatever. They were collaborating on something. And so then that woman was like, oh my God, like I've got to get your information from Erin. So I'm like, so yay. So hopefully that means that I am about to book some nice little card reading gigs for some fun events. That's really fun. I had the best time a couple of weeks ago reading at this party. And then last year at the wedding, it was literally like, it felt like Jesus at the wedding of Cana, not to be sacrilegious, but it just felt there was something so special about it. About being at a wedding and about like channeling all this like light through for people and just giving people such like a memorable moment within like such a special event. It was like there was extra added like miracle juice in it felt like. And I think I predicted this man winning his election, and I told his brother that he had like night terrors, and actually he did. And it was right on. It was like these 3 adult siblings, and they all sat for each other's readings, and so that was interesting. But yeah, that was a great night. So hopefully I'll book one of those again soon. But yeah, I think that what it is that when you read with one person, that's exhilarating on its own, and you feel really excited for them, and you feel almost the relief that you gave them, or the peace that you gave them, or the hope that you gave them. It's like you're sharing in their feelings. And so after an event where you do back-to-back readings, and it seems like everybody's getting these like, positive messages, and even in the more sensitive messages, it's things that are very helpful to them to get them out of those kind of tense situations. And so it's really positive all around. So that always is just those times always fill me up, and they're very exciting. So yeah. All right, you guys, we are drawing cards on where we should focus our intention and our energy for the week as it pertains to our manifestations and our desires. Consult an expert. Oh my God, I feel like this is almost like just like referring to the fact that we were just talking about that wedding planner, right? That is an expert. That is an expert event planner. More information is needed. Contact someone with expertise in this area. Now, I had digital course come to mind. I know that for me, I love learning online, and I love finding new coaches and courses. There's a good many courses that are worth buying, and I think that you can, if you find a really good teacher on YouTube, you can find some really, really high value education and training. But I do feel that if you have the means to do it, and you find just the right course for the thing that you want to do, there are such good courses now out there that like it almost nullifies the need to go get a degree unless you're in some field that really requires or needs deep expertise. But if it's more like an entrepreneurial thing, like nowadays there are courses for anything that you want to do, anything that you want to make, anything that you want to learn to do. You can get niche courses on how to like hone in on your skill that you're doing. There's hat making courses, there's metalsmithing courses, there are contortionist courses. In fact, you might be the expert that wants to build a course and sell those. And it can be really overwhelming and like, where do I get started? And it just so happens that like, not to plug this, I've literally never tried to sell this course. But last year I bought, I was giving a reading to a girl, and as it turns out, she was working at like the hemp store, not making enough money. And she just took a chance on one of those Instagram things. It was like for a digital marketing course. And she took a chance on one or two. The second one was her gold mine. And she was telling me about it. And basically she found a course that had master resale rights. And so what that means is that once you buy that course, you can then turn around and sell it. Like it comes with the rights to sell that course. So it's amazing. So it was like a basic 101. This is a digital marketing course, particularly if you want to make your own digital products and sell them in an online store. And so this course was like, it trimmed out all the fat. Like a lot of courses are like $1,000 to $1,500, even $2,000, sometimes more than that. And they usually have about 10 to 12 modules. And sometimes it's like there's some fat, like, pumping you up, getting you in the mindset, and all that. And if you don't need that and you just want a step-by-step hand-holding guide, and what you're trying to do is get started in selling like courses or digital books or downloads or one-on-one, consultations and things like that. I have a course in my shop, in my stand store, and it's called Ultimate Branding Course. And I'll be honest, it's not the greatest course on earth, but it's worth what I paid for it. And then if I ever tried to, I could probably resell the thing. It's pretty popular, but it's not so in depth that it takes a long time. And it really helps you get the thing off the ground and going. And that's what I used to kind of like, I get into information overwhelm, decision overwhelm. I get into rabbit holes about like what platform to use and this and that. And this one just sort of like sends you in a clear, concise direction. And by the first module, you've already like built the store. It's crazy. Like it's procrastination proof. If you just watch the thing and take the steps, you've done it, right? So I like it. I found it was worth it. It's $499, which is half the cost of the average business course that you're going to take. Anything that I've looked up for as far as like marketing courses and like copywriting courses, those are all like 1,000 and up. So I thought it was a pretty good deal. And it's like, it's not the greatest thing on earth, but it definitely did the trick. So and that's there if you need a resource and you don't know where to get started. But I would say, like, do some digging, do some research in your topic. There might be something that you need to go deeper in, like that is going to like accelerate your skill and your visibility or popularity. Like there's a little missing link, I think is what it is. And it's going to be the little piece of the puzzle that brings the thing together. Or so many times when I'm watching like coaches on YouTube and like learning more about business and like creating and whatnot, it'll be something that they say that'll just send me onto like this thought process, and it'll give me an idea or it'll give me inspiration. So sometimes it's not even, you may not even know exactly what you're looking for. But just by going deeper in your studies and broadening your studies, you might accidentally find an Easter egg that you didn't even know you needed. All right. I love the research stage so much, sorry, that I sometimes get stuck in that for a really long time because I end up getting, feeling like I'm getting so much done in the research, but then it's like at a certain point, the material starts to get repetitive. Your search results start to get repetitive, and you're like, okay, now I'm just spinning my wheels. Okay, rest. We need to take a little Shabbat. We need a little rest. I know I'm looking forward to a couple of days off this week with no social engagements no requirements, no lunches, no big projects. I am just having a mundane, meandering solitude, rest, 2 days off. Can't wait. Tomorrow's my Friday. You've been working hard. Take a nap, get some rest, unplug. You know, we were talking about this at work today, and just sometimes, you know, I work with a lot of creative people, and we're all making our creative things, but then we all have to be present on social media to get the things out there, to share the things. And and it can be such like a hustle just making content and keeping up with that and getting that streamlined that you can exhaust yourself, because it's a never-ending, insatiable thing. It's like getting gas for your car, doing laundry. Like, that stuff's never done, right? You just have to keep doing it. Same for like creating content. And so we were talking about the importance of not getting so lost in putting the cart before the horse, you know, that we get so, you know, distant and far away from the physical art that we created to begin with, right? And like what we're actually sharing. It's like what I noticed about reality shows when I would work on reality shows. It was like, you know, somebody would be really good at like home renovation, or they would be really great at like creating this thing, or they'd be good at real estate or something. And then there would be a reality show that came in, and they were like, all right, we want to do a show about you being an amazing realtor. And then what happens is that show takes over and they own you 14 hours a day. And it's like you're acting like you're doing the thing, but there's no time actually left to do the thing. Like, thank God they only, you know, film for a few weeks at a time. But it's kind of like that. There is no filming and then we're not filming anymore in real life. It's like with artists and creatives and even just, you know, whatever business that you might own or have, or a side hustle or whatever. It's like, it seems like there's always just this need to keep producing and keep producing. So you really have to take conscious time set aside for yourself to truly rest and renew. And we were talking about this on the channel the other night about that book, The Art of Asking by Amanda Palmer, from the cabaret rock band called the Dresden Dolls. She talks about the importance of having staring at the wall time. And that is just that time where you have nothing. You're not even in between chores. You're just kind of like wandering around and staring off into space and looking out the window, and maybe I'll go wander the neighborhood or something. But those are the times where you go into that trance-like state where the visions and the ideas come to you. You can't do that without rest, without space to do that in. So I think we need to let our active minds decompress and let our subconscious creativity come forward. Let's see, we've got that came out with that clump. We had morning affirmations. Starting your day out right sets you up for success for the rest of the day. So like, I like to say the morning blessing every day that I wake up, which is thanking the Creator for mercifully restoring our soul. And then I do a kosher hand washing, and I like to do my prayers and rituals in the morning. And I love a nice, easy, gentle morning where I, you know, come alive and awaken and blossom with the flowers kind of thing. But I don't like to just rush right into my day. And I think that when I started making time for a morning routine, and that was like a need in my day, every bit as much as all the other things you do for your body in the morning, I started doing my soul care in the morning, and it changed my life completely, because it sets you up for the rest of the day to have a better consciousness. First of all, it gives you a peaceful way to start and a way to gently ease into your day, regulated. And then you can set your mindset and your consciousness to appreciation and to love and to goodness, and you can that's when I like to plan my day. I know some people do it the day before, but I like to do it early, like first thing in the morning, to just set my intentions for what I want to do. But it would be good if you had, in addition to like maybe prayers that you say in the mornings or morning rituals, to give yourself an affirmation for the day, or even pick one out for the week. What is it that you need to set your mindset on, right? What's going to be the most helpful to help you overcome your shortcomings and expand into your potential, right? So say positive affirmations each morning to open up the gates of manifestation. Now, it might be something along the line of, I am worthy of keeping promises to myself. I am worthy of making the effort for myself. I deserve to be well taken care of, and I can make an effort for myself, right? I am abundant and blessed and favored by God. I have everything in this moment. Everything that is meant for me is already mine. And what is not meant for me will never make me happy. You can give yourself these reminders. Think about like what gives you the most anxiety, and maybe give yourself a counter thought to replace that thought. So if you can think of what is your most pervasive negative thought, are you beating yourself up? Is it that you're worried about money? Are you being too strict on yourself? Are you being too lax on yourself? Are you not believing in yourself enough? Are you feeling fearful and doubtful that the Creator is going to have your back and take care of you? Are you feeling fog and uncertainty? So whatever it is that's the most like fearful thought that keeps coming up, or the thought of lack that keeps coming up, whatever comes to your mind first, maybe that's the first affirmation that you pick out to train yourself during at least a few days. Like try giving yourself one affirmation and using it for a week. That kind of repetition over the course of several days should plant a real seed in your subconscious and in your conscious mind. So what would be the counter statement that would give you loving truth to feed yourself with, to feed your soul with, instead of that negative thought, instead of the fearful thought, instead of the thought of lack? Choose a positive seed, a seed that you want to plant, a seed that you want to grow, that is the counter statement to that negative thought. And you're going to ask the Holy Spirit to help you replace that old negative consciousness with a new, expanded, enlightened consciousness, and help you believe that new thought the same as you would believe the fearful thought. We don't want to admit it, but we have a lot more faith in our fear than we do in the Creator. And so, where fear comes from. So it's like we have a lot more faith in the devil than we do in God, because we're pretty convinced most of the time. It doesn't take any stretch of our beliefs to believe that some chaos or bad thing is going to happen, right? We're almost convinced that that's almost a guarantee. But it's hard to believe that things are going to work out, and that something could be healed, or we could be saved from something, or the means are going to come. Those are the things that we doubt, and we're like scared to believe those things. We're scared to expose ourselves to the excitement, the risk of a letdown. It's like, but that's something that struck me one time very deeply. It's like, whoa, I have more faith in fear and more faith in the darkness than I do in the light. And it made me determined to see it that way from now on. It's like, wow, if my fear makes me just jump every time it snaps its fingers, then I am a servant of the darkness. And if I don't have that same quickness and enthusiasm to act when the light gives me an impulse, then I'm serving the darkness more than I do the light. And I have more faith in the darkness than I do in the light. And lo and behold, it's like, wow, where does that leave you, right? So it's like, man, plant good seeds. Train ourselves to have that reflexive faith that, no, you know what? My automatic belief is that The Creator is here already, and everything is already mine, and I am whole, and everything is within me. And the light is within me, and the light is all in one. So if that's within me, then that's what I'm made of. Then it just can be activated when I need it to be. As long as I have the faith and the certainty in the Creator that it can be, then it will. So plant positive seeds in your consciousness to start the day. Now we have mother healing, oh my gosh, and father healing together. Y'all, this is crazy because a lot of times they'll oscillate. Like when one comes up one week, the next one comes up the next. But mother and father tikkun healing in the same week. And then when I think about the readings that we've had lately, I feel like big major turning points are happening. I feel like this is very culminating, right? Because we have our cosmic family coming into harmony and coming into order. Like, look like I'm plastered. I'm planted. So yeah, I just feel like our cosmic family is coming into order. And so basically our mother wound affects our self-worth and our sense of value in ourselves. And it's because the mother is the feminine, so she affects our intrinsic, the way we feel, right? The way we feel about ourselves even, and life. Well, the father wound is our exterior, our outer expression. It's the masculine. So the father wound affects how we show up in the world. Are we reliable? Are we responsible? Are we capable and motivated? Are we giving and sharing? Do we have willpower and drive, right? And so if we have father wounds, a lot of the time that causes us to have these self-sabotaging patterns and habits of not being consistent, or not keeping our word to ourselves, right? Not taking good, responsible, diligent action. Think about, like, if you could think of the archetypal ideal best father figure, right? That man would be that solid, dependable man of his word. You know, he's going to do what he says he's going to do. You know, that person who is diligent, consistent, always there. You know, it's not, you don't think of like some tough, wild character, you know, some cowboy. You think of like a stable, solid, like dependable, predictable person, right? Stability. So can you give that? Do you provide that for yourself? Are you able to do that for yourself? Have you noticed that you can? Or has it been difficult for you to have consistency and stability and to keep promises to yourself? So healing the father wound affects, okay, the choices that I make, the actions that I take, and healing that wound helps you value yourself to keep those promises and to show up and to be that masculine that you would want in your life if you're coming from a feminine point of view. Making the effort, right? And then the feminine quality of the self is like you feel more worthy and you feel more love for yourself, and you respect yourself more, and you value your feelings, and you want to get to know yourself deeper. And so between the two, healing the two, it's like, oh, I value myself, and my talents and my dreams are important. And I value getting to know myself deeper, and I value setting aside time to give to the things that I value and are important to me. So I'm going to follow through. I'm going to take action on those things, and I'm going to be dependable with myself. And I'm going to keep my word to myself, and I deserve good things. And so I am going to be the first one to set the example of how I want the world, the universe, and other people to treat me, and how I want others to invest in me, or, value what I'm doing. So I'm going to be the first one to value those things, right? So between mother and father healing, it sounds like, oh, wow, this is a very stable, grounded, secure, capable person who values themselves, who has self-respect, and they follow through. Now, from this place, you you value what you've built and you don't throw it away on a whim or on like people pleasing so easily anymore, right? Because how many times are we so quick, or have we been in the past so quick to self-abandon in order to people please, to keep everyone happy, wanting everyone else to be taken care of, but then also completely abandoning the self in the process. So being out of balance, right? Not knowing where the Goldilocks zone is of when we're authentically sharing, and then when we are trying to give with strings attached, hoping that will give us validation or safety or security, right? So overcoming those patterns of maybe having to self-abandon to feel like to survive in the house, right? Maybe as a young child, you felt like you were going to be abandoned or severely punished, or your needs weren't met, or if you like communicated something, and it's like now you realize, okay, we can advocate for ourselves. We can speak up for ourselves. We don't have to suppress all of our needs and silence ourselves and shrink ourselves and be small in the background, not creating any trouble, because that's how you feel when you have a traumatic household growing up. You feel like you don't want to make any trouble. You don't want to add one more thing to the pile. And so it's like you end up never needing anything, never causing a mess, or never causing any situations that add to the stress. It's like you don't want to ask for anything. And so you become invisible, right? And so mother and father healing, it's like it allows you to go back and correct that, and then learn to be comfortable in expressing your needs, expressing disagreement. Some of us have grown up in a house where it wasn't safe to disagree with our parents. We weren't allowed to do that. That was considered misbehaving or disrespecting, or committing being disobedient, right? And then it's like a punishable offense. So we have to undo all of that so that we feel comfortable to speak our truth and communicate our needs and desires and wants without feeling like we're going to be discarded or abandoned for it. All right, let's get a couple of cards from the Wisdom of the Hidden Realms, and then we're done. All right, filling this one. Ooh, the High Lady of Love and Compassion. I think it starts with ourselves, and then it can extend to others, because if we don't give ourselves enough compassion, then we feel drained, and then we feel sour and bitter and begrudging. So we need to, if we can shower ourselves with all the love and compassion that we think that we need to be getting from other people, it's like we don't need other people to give that to us. We need to give it to ourselves. When we come from a place of neediness with other people, that's when we get into trouble. That's when all the resentment starts building, and the repulsion. It's not attractive, it's not magnetic, but it's like when we give ourselves all that love and all that compassion, and we fill our tank, and we're not needy for it, then it's like all of a sudden people just dote on you, and they just love you, and they give, and they make a fuss and affection and all of that. It's like because you don't need it. It's not like you're not giving anybody the ick. When you don't need anything from anyone, it's like that people are so attracted to that. In fact, somebody said it the other day. We were talking, and they were talking about how draining it is when certain people do certain things, or like when they talk to certain people. And they said, I never feel drained when I hang out with you because you don't need anything from me. I was like, thank you. That's my slogan. I have it on bumper stickers, t-shirts. Oh my God. So reverence, kindness, and consideration. slowing down and having more reverence for life and for the beauty of the world. And it softens your heart even towards people who aren't people, right? A lot of people are like, I like animals, I can't stand people. But I think when you start to take in the beauty of life, it spills over, and eventually you start to feel more compassion and love towards others as well, especially when you pour it into yourself. I would say that over the last few years, living alone for the first time and then being single for like the longest stretch I've ever been single for, I have really become really good at learning how to just be content and fill up my own tank and be like needy for nothing, honestly, and no one. And I'm rarely stressed out about anything, rarely upset about anything for myself anymore. Mostly I'm upset for the world and the world events and the things that people are going through. But my life is pretty happy and go lucky. And I was just telling my friend at work about it the other day. I was like, I never come into work like miserable to be here. It's not like what people would consider the ideal glamour job, but like I always have a really fun time and I don't dread it. And like, as long as I get my days off and I'm rested, like I go in, I'm like happy to be there, And I think that comes from having learned how to give to myself over the past few years. It's always been about me giving and pouring into someone else until I'm empty, And when you are alone by yourself, there's no reason to feel selfish because there's nobody you're supposed to be doing stuff for. And so you can be yourself, truly. You can eat what you want to. You can watch what you want to. If you want to take a little nap, like no one's there to give you guff about it or whatever. It's like, you can really take care of yourself the way you want to be taken care of and learn what that is. And I think it's a good place to be in, because whereas you might have given all your compassion and kindness to someone else and then you were starved for it, it's like putting that back in your tank. And I have to say though, within relationships, I usually didn't get my needs met. And I would communicate those, but I would be left just drained. And then I would feel needy. And I'd always thought if I was satiated and if I was having like my needs met, then I wouldn't be so needy. But it's so funny because I haven't felt nearly as lonely by myself as I did within the relationships that I was in. And so that just goes to show being alone, I have learned how to meet my needs and what those are and how to love myself and show more compassion. And I think too, in that, it's been a process, but I've seen myself become more aware of how I lacked maybe compassion for others. Or I held that back or begrudged it at times because I felt like it wasn't being shown to me. But now that I have shown it to myself, it's like I feel like I have more threshold with people, more patience. I'm not perfect at it for sure. There are some days where I definitely need to remember to be more merciful and more compassionate. Like by nature, I'm not a coddler. I've had lots of very difficult challenges in my careers that I've had to overcome and persevere. And so I know what people are capable of, and sometimes I'm not a coddler, but I could be more compassionate and kind and merciful at times. But I also think there is a balance, because in Kabbalah we learn that if you are overly kind and overly merciful and you don't have enough strength, and that's when people's boundaries get porous, they end up self-abandoning and they get walked all over. And that's where I spent most of my life, so as a Libra, Cancer. So finally I'm tapping more into the Aries now, which is great. All right, and then let's get one more card. the Eagle King, the big picture, angelic help. So I feel like the more that we are seeing the interconnectedness of it all and our oneness with all and our oneness with God, and the more that we're remembering that, I feel like we're unlocking and unblocking more angelic aid that can come through for us, more miracles that can come through. It's like we're aligning with that cosmic harmony where we can draw close to the Creator and be under that protective wing of the Creator. But I love that. The big picture and angelic help, the Eagle King can get high above everything else and still have that laser sharp vision to like hone in. You know, it's like you can see the whole landscape, the whole, what is the word? Not vista, but the vantage point. You can see everything from up high, rising above the situation. It's like you might have tunnel vision right now. You might be too into the minutia of it, and you might need to take a little step back. It's like, okay, the rest, right? If you are in a writing project that's just gotten clunky and tangled up and you're like, oh my God, like take a break from it. Give yourself a little distance, maybe a few days, so that you can come back with fresh energy and fresh eyes. If you're writing a story, writing songs, this could be anything. If you're editing, oh my God, editing a project when you're sitting there staring at that same thing forever, take some space, take a break from it, and then you'll get more perspective. If you've been doing the inner work and you've been digging and going deeper and deeper, it's like sometimes we need a break. We need some space to let the wound heal before we keep going and going and going, another layer. It's like we need that rhythm, right? So that rhythm gives us perspective. All right, y'all, that is all for tonight. We will be back together tomorrow for our weekly alchemy message, where we are unpacking the spiritual lessons and our approach to the work for the week. Until then, may peace be with you. Ciao. Okay, one final thought before I finish editing this video. The last two cards that came up, it was the High Lady of Love and Compassion, and then the Eagle King, which was like getting a bigger perspective. It's like directly referencing, I don't even think that I started talking about this, but the father healing and the mother healing. It's like if we can find a way to just forgive our parents and let it go and show them kindness and compassion and mercy and understanding, this will be the ultimate step to our healing, right? And this is just, you know, seeing the big picture and like letting yourself off the hook of this pain and letting them off the hook for the mistake that they made, you know, knowing that we have these parents assigned to us for our tikkun, and they're supposed to trigger us, and it doesn't get them out of their own spiritual debt. And, you know, when we do something wrong, it's still a wrong and we have to pay for it. But there was a reason for it, and it did something for you, or it can become your superpower. And so having a bigger picture about the role that the difficulties and challenges and wounds that you have with your parents play in your greater soul development and in your greater expression of your purpose in this life. It's like it was meant to be that way. And you're meant to be difficult with your parents in the way that you uniquely are too. But then that doesn't get you off the hook either. You have to learn how to evolve and be, a greater version of yourself and a better version of yourself and a kinder version of yourself. But the Torah, one of the Torah portions this week was saying that one of the things that keeps our blessings blocked from being able to channel through into our lives is a lack of kindness, compassion, and mercy. And so if we inject kindness, compassion, and mercy into any given situation, then that acts as like a dissolvent, and it dissolves the blocks. It removes the blocks that were previously keeping us from connecting with our blessings. So inject love, unconditional love, mercy, kindness, and compassion. And I'm working on it. It's in my daily prayers, trying to change how I feel about, my own relationship with my own father. Mom has improved a lot. Like, me and my mom have improved our relationship a lot. But my dad and I still have work to do there. I've made an effort over the years. It's just he gives me this fresh rage just all the time. So it's always a work in progress. All right, but that was my final thoughts. I didn't want to leave it till tomorrow and hopefully remember it. I just thought it's worth coming back on here for another couple minutes. All right, ciao.